wow, it's Tuesday, but we're on a brand new channel. You know what? We're starting something new tonight. And if you got to start something new and something different, you got to bring family along with you. You really have to. That's why I've got, well, fuck it. I always point wrong, but that's why I've got my brother over here.
You know, tonight, with your logo, it looks like I got a red mohawk.
Right? Put your head up a little and yeah.
Yeah, look at this. Fucking rocking it, boy. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
At least you got hair. Welcome to the very first episode of Across the Tabletop. I'm like, I can't even think of a better name for a show because whatever game you play, you're across the tabletop.
Also, could be a decent name for a porno in the future. Just saying.
This is true. We'll see how this show goes. But guys, if you don't know me by now, I am Chris. This is my boy Jersey Joe. We are on different ends of the spectrum for wargaming. He does card gaming and I do miniature gaming. So normally when you go into a gaming store, it's like different tribes. That's the only way I can kind of describe it. It's like, oh my God, hey, look, here's history. Bushy,
what's going on?
Ever comment on the show? Welcome to the show, my brother. But normally they are really, really standoffish. And I figured, why not? Let's get him on here and let's talk about some of the similarities, some of the differences. Travis, my brother, how you doing?
Going on, Travis?
The similarities and differences between like miniature gaming and card gaming. Neat stuff like game store etiquette. Because Joe might pick up what I'm about to put down here. I came from a time where gamers were looked at as virgins living in their mama's basement. They were fat. They never showered. The only time they ever saw a boob was when they downloaded it on the internet.
Or when they took off their own shirt.
Exactly,
Boobs are real, folks. Boobs are real.
Yeah, anytime like a woman came in a gaming store, you're like, somebody's mom, somebody's mom, somebody's mom.
It was something that was a very real stereotype. It was actually, when I was younger, it was not like cool to be somebody who was into the games and the card games, anything. Like, so much so that I did allow my crowd to divert me from saying publicly that I played the games and things like that because I didn't want anybody fucking with me all the time. Weird though. We would accept things like Pogs and shit, but card games, you were nerd and a half if you did that shit.
What up, Ken? How you doing, big head?
What's going on, Ken?
And you see, that's the strange thing is, as weird as it was to say you were a gamer, it was kind of like a release because I could be so stressed out. And because I do miniatures, you've got to assemble them, you've got to prime them, glue everything together, you got to put paint on them. You could lose yourself in that and just be gone.
My daughter came in the other night. I just gotten home and sat down and I told her I wanted to relax. And she comes in and I've got my whole setup going on. I've got my cards out and everything. And I've got my book out and I'm reading through things and I'm setting things up, trying to build a new deck. And she's like, you look like angry. And I'm like, no, I'm actually quite at peace right now and enjoying myself. I said, Daddy just always looks angry. This is just my face. Like, I don't know what to tell you on that one, but it's a weird thing. I can't explain it unless you're into it, but you're right. You can just throw yourself into it and leave normal life at the door for a little while, even though it's still there. Like, it's not going nowhere, but you can just check it out for a little while and focus on your little world, do your thing, build your decks, whatever you got to do, enjoy yourself. And it just gives you a couple minutes, couple hours, whatever it might be. If you're like me and you've got OCD, it's definitely a couple hours because anytime I move something, I got to redo all my fucking cards. Nightmare. Part of the reason I don't move anything very often.
And like, for me being a miniature gamer, I got some new gamer crack in today. So tomorrow I'm going to be assembling 12 little fucking wildling bastards and going, God, I hate this, because for me, I don't know if you can see it too well on the back. They've got to kind of rank up and they've got to fit together side by side when you're moving them. So, yeah. Or I geek out when I got new paints in today. I'm like, holy shit. I got a blue I don't have. I've got this different shade that I can mix with that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all, you know what, man? Listen, the way I tell people is this. Everybody has something they like to do, right? Everybody's got something.
Yeah.
And it's something different for everyone, right? Some people, they like going to like, their local sports games and shit like that. Some people, they like collecting fucking sports memorabilia, shit like that. Some people now, video game collecting has become a thing. The old video games that we all got rid of has now become a very big thing to collect. Everybody's got their thing that they enjoy doing, and the card games and everything else is just another thing, man. It's something that you enjoy. And anybody who says like it's a waste of money, well, then you obviously don't understand that it's just something you enjoy doing. So it's the same as you spending money on going to a movie on a Saturday night is the same as me spending money to order new decks. It's the same thing. We're both getting enjoyment out of our money, just two different activities are being done. That's all.
Now, here is a weird thing. All right. This is something really huge that's happening on the miniature side. And it struck me as funny because I remember when Harry Potter came out and there was a collectible card game for Harry Potter. Superman, Henry Cavill, I always pronounce his name wrong. Superman, Henry Cavill, whatever, is producing
the
Warhammer 40K live show.
Yeah, thanks, DC, for dropping them, by the way.
And people are losing their minds. I'm releasing a video tomorrow about gatekeepers. I have never seen that in the collectible card community where people are like, oh my God, like, oh, wow, a new Pokemon movie dropped. I have to protect everything. I cannot let all these people come in and do this.
Time out. Gatekeeping is very real. It is something that
card world shaking.
Yes, it is something that keeps me out of certain shops around here. Actually, there is a shop, and I don't really care if they ever see this, called Time Warp in Montclair. They have a fantastic shop. They have a lot of. They're not very well organized, is what I will say, but they have a lot of stuff. A lot. They've got comics. They've got tabletop games, not just the war gaming things, but like just different board games that you've never heard of before, stuff like that. Every card game you can think of, really, they've got stuff for it. They carry the sleeves, all those things. The owner is an older gentleman who is very open and willing to talk to anybody, but he doesn't work the counter much these days anymore. His son does.
Okay.
And his son is a stuck-up gatekeeping asshole who, if you don't know something, when I first started getting into Magic a little heavier, and I went there by myself the one time and asked him about something, he looked at me and went, if you play the game, you should probably know that already.
Yeah.
And it was like, dude, I just started playing this game. Like, you want to cut me some slack? Just maybe a little bit. And the problem with it is, you get someone like me, see, I'll just stop going to that store. No big deal. I'll find someplace else to go. I'm not worried about it. Right. A lot of people, that'll deter them from the game forever. That's it. They're done now.
Thank you. Like I caught a tweet by a dude talking about, I am going to run these tourists out of my store. I'm like, how stupid are you? You want new people to come into your hobby because that will promote growth. That will promote business for you. That will bring new blood into everything. I don't get it.
It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And like I've always said for a very long time, the more and more people you get into a hobby, it's better for everybody, in all honesty. It really is. Because right now, for example, the game that I love, it's called Flesh and Blood. Any card that's a big card right now is literally at a minimum selling for almost $200.
Damn.
Why? Because they don't make that many of them. So when they're out there, they're selling for a fortune. Why? Because they're not printing that many, because there aren't as many people into the game. So, of course, you want to get more and more people into this game. You want to tell everybody about it. I don't care who you are. If you know me and you want to play, I don't give a shit. Come over, man. I'll spend all night showing you how to play the damn game. It's really not that hard, and I don't care if it takes me a month to get you into it. Let's do it,
Yeah.
Unfortunately, not enough people are like that, though.
And I mean, you see, this brings up another point that I love. I don't know how it is for the card game, and we're going to get into gaming for etiquette here in a moment, because you brought up a really good point about gatekeepers in the store. Social media, I think, has been incredible for a lot of things, because you get to interact with a bunch of people you would have never met. On the same aspect, it's a fucking boat anchor, because sometimes those same people will turn out to be, well, we're just going to be polite right now and not utter those words.
So the problem...
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Bo. I thought you were done.
Well, I've been able to interact with some incredible badass miniature painters who were female. And the stories they're telling me from, well, the horny idiots who can't handle the fact that someone with boobs and a vagina can paint better than them is unreal. Is it any like that way with card gamers where females are kind of ostracized with card games?
I don't know if they're ostracized, but they are they are objectified, if you will. They're looked at more because, again, I understand when I go to a tournament and I'm trying not to sound too, I don't know what the word is. I know I'm the rarity in the card game a lot of the times when I'm at these things. A lot of these guys are very different looking than me, if you will. And that's cool. Like, whatever, man. But they look at any girl who's into the hobby and they're like amazed at it. You have to stop treating it like it's some kind of rarity because it's not. There's a lot of them out there. They just don't admit it because they don't want everybody acting like it's weird or something like that. Okay?
Agreed.
And yes, it is absolutely hot when a girl takes a card and whips your ass with it. I don't care what anybody says. But stop acting like it is. Just normalize it and it'll happen all the time.
I'm sorry. My boy from Jersey, the angry Italian who does great rants, is like, I love getting beat up by women.
Absolutely. I grew up in Jersey, bro. That's all that ever happens.
Oh, I'm sure. I've been out there once or twice.
Now, but yeah, I mean, the more you go to these events, you notice something. And it's, yes, there are some regular women just there hanging out or whatever, but for the most part, you see the women in cosplay. And I get it. I understand why. Believe me, I do. Women know that there's, God love it, there's a bunch of friggin' nerds at these things. And if they're walking around dressed up like the character they like, it's going to get them where they want to be in life. And I get it, man. I do. But people need to understand something. Most of those women you see in cosplay, not all of them, mind you, not all of them, most of them, they're not really into your hobby. They're just taking advantage of a situation. Okay? The girl you see at the table really trying to like get in and hang out and all that stuff, pay attention to her. She's the badass in the room. I promise you.
And see, and those are the ones, like, I've even made mention. A very talented miniature painter who's female and helped create some very popular war games. I paid money to go to a tournament just to sit down and pick her brain. I'm like, looked at my opponent. I'm like, look, you're going to hate me. I don't care if you mark my sportsmanship score down. You win. I'm going to be over here for 20 minutes talking to her. And that was, it's a sense of pride when you can sit down with a very talented person and go, teach me, Obi-Wan. And start that friendship with them, and that carries on.
Well, I've also tried to tell people that we never more so than in this gaming world do we control the highs and the lows, if you will, in the pricing world. The only reason places like, I don't know if you've ever heard of TCG Player Online.
Yes, I have actually.
Where they list cards individually or however they're a third party where you can list your stuff for sale, basically.
Right.
The only reason, and if you have another computer in front of you, by all means, go ahead and look it up. There's a card called Feindal's Tunic for the game that I love that basically every deck in the world uses. Just about every deck uses this card, okay? It's a piece of equipment. You can only have one. Every deck uses it. And that card right now is still, and it was one made with the first run that was ever made, and then made again when they did their history run. It still sells for over $200 just for that one card.
Because
why?
It's that good? Or...
Because it's that good, it is. But also because people pay. People pay. If you just let that card sit there and said, you know what, I'm not paying $200 for it. Sorry, I'm not doing it. Eventually, they're going to have to come down with the price because the reality is they only paid $4 to get it. It came out of a pack that's $4. So,
Well, that's why eBay, I thought, was a great business model as a sidetrack. I have this item. I'm going to start my bidding at 25 cents. Now, you fuckers go make me rich.
No, listen, there are magic cards out there that are selling for thousands upon thousands of dollars. There's Pokemon cards that are worth millions of dollars. Like, it's like any other hobby.
That one right there is about $200. That
like
figure
any
right there.
like any other hobby. The more money you have, unfortunately, the better you're going to be. And it's just reality, right? Like, I can be as good as I am with the cards and how I play the game, but if the guy sitting across from me has nothing but legendary equipment on his character and the best attacks you can afford in his deck, there's really not much I can do other than hope that the draw doesn't go his way. Because at the end of the day, we are all, as I like to say in the card world, we are all victims of the draw. It all depends. You can have the greatest cards in your deck, but you got to get them in your hand.
See, for
sometimes it doesn't happen.
On the wargaming side, we love to say dice tell stories, because in theory, when you start, you and your opponent are equal in points value. Okay, the dice control everything. You know, you could have the best tactics in the world. You could have the best miniature in the world. You could have the most awesome Uber thing ever created by this company. But if you can't roll them dice, too bad.
Right. No, I get what you're saying. And it's a fair point. And that's what the one thing I love about the game is that, again, no matter what you do at the end of the day, reality is it all comes down to fate. It's you can have all these great cards in your deck, but you have a 70 card deck. You can't fill it with just great attacks. You have to have everything in there. You have to have resource cards and this and that. Maybe your shuffle wasn't good and you draw nothing but garbage for the first few hands, and that's all I need to get you out of there. At the end of the day, it all comes down to fate, and that's why I love the game.
Now,
this is the card, by the way. This is the card.
Oh, nice.
That's a $200 card right there. That the only reason I have was because I unboxed a card called the Heart of Feindal that was worth the same value as this card. So when I went to the tournament, I literally went up to the guy behind the counter and said, what if we just trade? Because I'm not using the Heart. I need her tunic, though, for my decks. So let's just trade. And he was for it. So
nice. Hey, Shaky's got a question for you. He goes, he knows you're a horror fan. Did you ever play Horror Clicks?
Is that the horror card game or the board game? Because there's two.
Like the Hero Clicks, the really bad plastic painted miniatures with the whatever on the bottom?
I'm not sure. You'd have to remind me of what they are, Shakes. There is a horror card game out. I can't remember the name of it right now, but I want to get into it. Problem is, my schedule doesn't allow me a lot of time, so I need my buddy to get into it as well. That way I have somebody to actually play the fucking game with. So...
This is true. This is very, very true. Now,
listen, I don't care what you say. This isn't a system you can play solitaire in. Not having anybody to play against is boring.
Pretty much. I mean, on the miniature side, we've all done what's called floor hammer, where you set up things on the floor. And it's like, okay, I'll move. Then you get up, move to the other side. Here, let me try to counter that. Just because you're either that bored or that drunk. I've done both before.
Listen, I can set it up. I can have two boards set up, and I can play my game, and I could have this deck and go with the draw, and okay, I'm doing this here, and go with it, but that's no fun.
He says it's based on the Hero Clicks format.
Yeah, no, I don't. No, I've never played it before, but now you're gonna have me go looking at it. That's for damn sure. So,
okay, so I need you to educate me on like card gaming here for a moment. I'm gonna give you the example. In the miniature side, everything has a point cost.
Okay.
You know, you have your commander and you have units you are required to have.
Okay.
And if you want more powerful units, you've got to take other things, but it's all got to fit in a point cost. Every single thing, like if you want to upgrade the weapons, it costs points. If you want to do anything, it costs points. Like this one that I've gotten into, Conquest, the Last Argument of Kings, those base 3 stands that you get in the box are one solid point cost. If you want to add another stand, you've got to add the points. How do you build a deck? Because I've never understood that. Is it like you have a points, you have to have so many cards, you try to fit in whatever?
So it depends on the game, first of all. Like Magic has its 2 different forms. It's got Commander and then it's got Classic. Commander is kind of like what you were just saying for your game. You have a commander card that is the commander of your deck, and then you have 60 cards in there that you can use. Now, for Magic, of course, you have to have the perfect balance of land because that's how you play your cards in Magic. And then the other cards to go with it. Now, the game I play, Flesh and Blood, is a little bit different. And it's the game I've gotten more into because the best way I can describe it is this. Every hand is a brand new hand. So I draw 4 cards to start the game. There's 3 different point levels. You have blue cards, red cards, yellow cards. Each one has a pitch value. Blues have 3 pitch, yellow have 2, red has 1. That's a resource, basically, if you will. That's your land in Magic, if you will, okay? So if I want to play a red attack that costs me 2, I have to pitch something that gives me 2 pitch to play it. So for the most part in the game I play, the blue cards are used as a resource to play the other cards. That's the reason you have blue cards in your deck. Now, the way where it gets funny is every deck is different. Every deck is so different that every hero is different. Like my Blitz deck that is actually would be, if I could go to actual ranked situations, the number 2 deck in the world right now because I just beat the number 2 player in the world in my house the other day. My Blitz deck is a elemental wizard named Islander, and her power, her special ability is she can play blue cards on your turn from her arsenal. So the goal with her is actually not to do anything on my turn. It's to put something away, make sure I've got enough resources in my hand so that when it's your turn to go, I can then attack you with this, use my wand to attack you again a second time, and then use my equipment to strip 2 cards from you. So now you've got the option of either blocking all the way out and not attacking me at all, or letting me attack you like crazy and hoping you survive and can do some damage to me. So every game is different. Like, what is it? Pokemon has the mana cost where you've got to put out a certain amount of mana for everything you do. So at the end of the day, though, every card game comes down to one thing. You have a resource. Your resource is whatever they want to call it, whether it's land, mana, pitch, whatever it is. And each card costs a certain amount of resources to play. And that's the basis behind everything. And knowing your character, in my case, in the Flesh and Blood world, and knowing you and the way you play, I am, as most people could probably have guessed by now, incredibly loud, incredibly aggressive, and I want to throw something at you if I get the chance to.
Not Joe, no.
And that's why most of my decks are very aggro, and they are very heavy on the just attack, don't back off, put your foot on their throat and never stop. That's the way I build my decks.
Okay, so everybody watching this on the replay squad, leave a comment down below if you're actually surprised at what he just said. Okay? Leave me a comment that says, like, I'm shocked. Something like that.
That's why my Islander deck is actually so weird for me, because she's the complete opposite. She is a wait and react character. But I wanted to use her because I want to get myself different things and different characters to get used to. My ultimate goal is one day, hopefully, I'd like to be on the ranked boards with everybody and really get out there into these tournaments and stuff. But it takes balls, because the reality is it becomes a job. So you have to be okay with giving up your normal life and going after it, basically. Like, it's not much different than making social media your full-time gig. You have to have the balls to say, I'm going to give up everything else and I'm going to go for it. And I don't have the balls for that right now, but it's cool.
Yeah, but okay. So I'm going to kind of set you up with this question, because I'm getting this thought in my head about what you would be in the miniature gamer side. Would you consider your deck like a power gamer deck?
It would depend on my deck. My Oldhim deck definitely is. My Oldhim deck is so again, you have your turn, I have my turn, right?
Right.
So let's say your turn comes and you're like, okay, I'm going to do this and attack for 4. And I just go, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, I'll take it. And then you go, okay, well, I have go again, so I'm going to attack you again now for 7. And I go, yeah, that's cool. I'll take that too. In that moment, anybody who's ever played that deck before knows they're in trouble now because I just let 11 hit points get through and it didn't even faze me. And the reason for that is because Oldhim, to me, if you ever see the Oldhim, here, let me show you what he looks like. To me, Oldhim is a play on Thor, if you will, and Odin mixed together, but in ice instead of lightning.
Oh, nice.
He even wields a hammer and everything. Okay. So Oldhim is a guardian. Guardians don't do a lot, if you will. They wait. And then I go like this. Okay, I'm going to crack this card to give my next attack +3. I'm going to crack this to give it dominate. And now I'm going to play this card that costs me 9 to play. So I have to get rid of all 3 cards to play it. But I gave it +3. Its base attack is 15. It's attacking for 18, and it has dominate now, which says you can only block with 1 card from hand. That's it. You can't use anything else to block it. And most cards from hand only block for 3, which means guaranteed 15 of my attack is getting through.
So you would be that guy on the miniature gaming side that we would curse out, because I've seen those guys and there's nothing really wrong with it. Okay. If you've got the money and you can go afford the best shit possible, have fun. But it's like with Conquest, I saw an army list that had 5 giants in it.
Right.
And even me, because I play that faction, the Nords that have access to the giants.
Okay.
I went, fuck, that's a bit much. You know?
Well, you know what's funny is, and this is the one thing I do appreciate about the game that I play, Flesh and Blood is one of the few games that I've seen that the creators are very much on top of what's happening with the game. So, for example, there was a character named Starvo that they made. Starvo was a guardian like Oldhim, but he was a guardian with earth, ice, lightning, dark, and light tendencies, which basically meant you could use whatever you wanted with this guy.
Yeah, I was going to say
what they were thinking when they made him, I have no idea, because literally he had no weaknesses. And all of a sudden, at every tournament you went to, he was right? His card was winning everything.
Yep.
Just not, and the creators realized real quick, oh, we fucked up. And they tried to ban cards that were known for him only to kind of slow him down, and it still didn't work. He still steamrolled. So then they created what they call a living legend. So every hero now has a point count on the Flesh and Blood website.
Oh, nice.
For every tournament they win, right? Not each player, if you will. The character itself has a point total.
Right.
Starvo was the first character they ever made that got past 1,000 points. Damn. And he is now a living legend, and he is banned everywhere. You can't use him anymore.
Now there's one thing, and we are going to get back to the gaming store etiquette because it's something between miniature gamers and card gamers, but we'll get back there in a moment. When you go to a tournament, for the miniature side, every tournament I've ever attended, I've had to submit a list beforehand and go, this is what I'm bringing, and it gets double checked at the tournament. Right. Because a lot of stuff that I have with the miniature figures, it's what you see is what you get.
Gotcha.
That way you can't get this itty bitty little goblin figure and go, this is my all powerful dragon. You've got to have that dragon right there. For card gamers, when you go to a tourney, how do they verify what you're bringing?
First of all, it depends on what you're doing at said tournament, because most of the tournaments you go to, they have the main, at least for the one I go to, for Flesh and Blood, they've got the main nationals. Most tournaments have them. They have either nationals, skirmish, or battle hardened, right? Right. And they have the main tables at all those. If you sign up for the main tables, those games count against your grand point total and being invited to the World Championship at the end of the year. If you're at those games the night before, you're going to go to the tournament, you have to send in your deck list complete with your sideboard if you have one. They have to have everything detailed. You then report to the main desk. You give them your name and all that, and you sign in on the computer. The judge will then bring up your deck list and say, okay, let me see your cards. And they will go through your cards one at a time.
Just got an Amazon delivery, sorry.
And try to make sure. And they will make sure that everything you say you have, and that there's no hidden cards in there or no banned cards in there.
Right.
Now, if you go to these events and you're just doing one of the side things for fun or to try and win cards or something like that, they're a little bit more lenient. I wish the judges were a little tougher, because at the last tournament I went to, I actually got cheated out of a win because I was new to tournaments and I didn't speak up. I was a little hesitant, and the guy across from me knew it. He questioned me on what I did with my character when I play my character every week. I know what they do. And I made the move, and I got him. I knew I had him. The game was over. And he goes, no, you can't do that. It's supposed to be done like this. And I'm like, no, dude, I do it like this all the time. And he's like, no, man, I'm telling you, I go to these tournaments. Like, you can't do that. If you do it that way, they're going to disqualify you and kick you out of here. And I was, again, this is one of my first tournaments I had been to. I was a little shaky. So I'm like, fuck, man. I'm like, all right, you know what, then I'll just scratch my turn. I don't want to cause any issues. And he beat me on the next turn. If that turn had played out, what I had played was a reaction, and he didn't have any defense reactions. He was screwed. He was going to lose.
So to me, because he's a shithouse barracks lawyer, he tried to turn the rules around on you, thinking you're a brand new guy. I'm not going to lose this round. Fuck him.
After the game, my buddy was watching, who had been to tournaments a lot. He had just gotten over there and saw that I had lost somehow. He was like, dude, when I looked over before, it looked like you were about to finish him. I was like, I was, and I told him what happened, and he was like, bullshit, come here. He brought me over to one of the judges, and he said, sir, and he brought the card out that's in that. He said, he did this. Boom, boom. And the judge went, oh, that's perfectly legal.
Oh, wow.
And my buddy goes, Joe, next time, I don't care what happens. Even if you wind up being wrong, raise your hand and ask for a judge.
Yep, stand your ground.
Ask for a judge.
That's
I want a ruling.
Job. Yep.
I want a ruling. Make them come over and rule on it. And that's now I tell everybody that. If you're not sure and they say no, you can't, cool. Let me verify it. Get a judge over here. Just make sure, because that literally cost me that game, because he was dead to rights and he knew it. So, and like anything else in the world, right? You're going to have people who are doing it for fun, people who want to enjoy themselves, and people who can't handle that they're losing and do something stupid.
I have run into those guys so many times in the miniature world, where they go out on like some Reddit subforum of some weird dark place, and they think they have the baddest list on the planet. And then they show up with it, and by turn one, you're tabling them, which basically means I'm beating you so bad you've got no miniatures left.
Yep.
And they lose their minds.
Something else I always tell people to remember is this, because I'm sure it's like this for the tabletop gaming as well. I can go right now, go on Fab Meta or something like that, look up a certain hero and see a bunch of deck lists that have won competitions.
Yep.
But what people need to remember is that deck list won a competition. I guarantee you the guy who won that competition has changed that deck already now, because it just won that competition. Everybody can see it now. So everybody knows what he's bringing, and people are going to plan for it accordingly. Yes, those are great tools if you're just getting started, as a reference to look at and get an idea of what you're doing. But don't be afraid to go off and do your own thing, okay? Don't be afraid to throw some shit out there and give it a shot.
Thank you.
At the end of the day, you're losing a fucking card game, dude. It's not a big deal.
And you see, and that's the other thing. For me, if I win or lose, I don't care. I want my opponent across that fucking tabletop to have as much of a great time as I did. I made a stupid mistake in a tournament once. Basically, it was an undead force against some rat people. All right.
Okay.
I broke my warlord away to go charge this group of bats. not realizing they cause fear. Rats aren't known for their fucking leadership. He turned and ran, and I lost the whole game on turn 1.
Right, yeah.
I laughed my butt off. The guy was like, hey, are you okay? You all right? I'm like, dude, I'm fine. I was stupid. I'm great. I want the sportsmanship award that are in a lot of miniature tournaments. I want that more than I want best painted or, number one, whatever. Hey, Mark Brown, how you doing? I want that one so badly.
Listen, it's funny to me because it's not, again, it's just a game, man. Like, so just for example, again, I was at a tournament and I'm playing in a Blitz tournament, which Blitz is, you got Classic Constructed or you got Blitz. Difference is Classic Constructed is 40 points you start with, and you start with a deck of up to 70 cards. Blitz, you start with 20 life points and a deck up to 40 cards. That's it. Okay. So Blitz is a little faster.
Yeah.
Hard hitting, and I'm in a Blitz tournament, and that's where my Islander deck kicks ass and shines, and I'm rolling right through this tournament. And at the end of it, I make it to the final round, and I'm playing against a kid. I'm not even lying to you here. It was a 14-year-old kid, and his deck was fucking good, man. This kid's deck was amazing. Yeah. He knew what he was doing. Now, his dad was there with him. I don't know if his dad helped him build the deck or not, right? But I don't care because the kid was good. He knew what he was doing, right? The whole reason the kid was playing in this tournament was because there was a card that they were giving to the winner. I didn't even see what the card was, right? So we play. He takes me down to my last hit point, but at the end, I get him. On my last second, I cracked my oh shit move and did something that he couldn't block unless he had a specific card in his hand in that moment. And the odds of you having it when you need it are always slim to none. So I cracked it, took my shot, and he couldn't beat it. So I won. So they handed me the card for the winner. When I saw the card, it was this card. It's a blue dragon called Azoli, and she's for a specific character in the game only. And it was this specific one, which is the full alternate art. It's a $180 value card. I already had one at home. In fact, I already had two that I had gotten out of a box. I got lucky.
I think I know what you're going to say, and I hope you're going to say it. So
I turned to the kid and I said, hey, you got a badass deck and you're amazing. Keep playing. Don't stop. And do me a favor. Hold on to that for me until the next time you see me. And, tell your dad to buy me lunch or something like that. Take care of yourself. And I gave him the card because to me, it was more important that kid know, don't get discouraged by this. You're 14 and just made it to the finals of a tournament. Like, you just kicked ass against grown men who lived this game. So
Triple B, D&D is cool. I haven't played it in years, to be honest with you. I think the last time I played it was 93 when I was in Korea. It's not really taboo. It's getting really, really huge. Matter of fact, this company, the Army Painter, puts out an awful lot of stuff for it, for paints and miniatures and a whole bunch of neat stuff. So it ain't taboo.
There's a card place by me that does D&D night, and it's a big deal. Like, they have 50 to 70 people show up every D&D night, and apparently it's not something you can just get into, like their game. You can't just jump into it until they start a new one, because they'll have the same game going for months. Characters at certain levels and all this other stuff, so you can't just jump into it. But they get really into it, man. And listen, it's D&D is just having fun, man. It's like anything else, right? Like, the easiest way I can explain Flesh and Blood to anybody is if you're a video gamer, Flesh and Blood is a card version of any RPG you've ever played.
Yeah, and I mean,
it's like you're playing God of War.
Yeah,
it's like that. You got his weapon that you have to equip him with, his gear, his headpiece, his bracers, his waist piece, his body armor. Everything matters. It all does something different.
Yeah, my son at his school is in a D&D club right now. And I mean, even like with, dude, 40K, I'm a Space Wolf fan since 2nd edition. What do you play, Triple B? I swear to God, if you say Thousand Suns, I may have to block you.
Listen, the fact is...
You know why. You know why, Triple B. You know why.
What I love is that this era, this generation, no, I don't love a lot of things about it. But one thing I do enjoy about it is that being a nerd is okay. They don't criticize these kids for it anymore. They don't give them a hard time. And part of the reason for that is, and I don't care what anybody says, is the emergence of the Marvel movies being so popular and comic books having their moment. Whether you want to give them the credit or not, it has changed the perception of the comic world and that whole gaming world, because your comic shops, for the most part, are usually a one-stop shop for all those needs.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, you had people going in there and seeing these other things, and they're like, oh, this is pretty cool. And the game you play actually has played a big role in making it kind of cool as well to be a nerd, because I guess the way it was put to me is that it's almost like a big version of the game Risk. You have armies, you get to set them up your way, and at the end of the day, my one friend says it all the time. He's like, I just want to be thought of as Darkseid's Batman. I'm the greatest general in the world, baby. That's what he says every time he plays it. And I'm like, all right, but Batman was brainwashed, right? In that episode. But I mean, whatever. You do you. Like,
exactly. Now let's get into the weird thing, because I love to keep these streams to about an hour. And I mean, you and I could geek out all night long. All right, but still.
No, we can't. I'm tired.
Yeah. Game store etiquette, bro. Now, for you, when I go into a brand new shop, I'm usually quiet. I know for you that's hard. All right. I know you for a while. I know that's hard. But like when I walked into Docking Bay 93 out here in Mount Vernon for the first time, it was like, okay, not what I'd expect, but it's a local mom and pop shop. Now, the last gaming stores I had been in were in Portland, Oregon, where they were huge because of the population.
I got you.
Huge. But out here, when it's small, how do you integrate yourself into a newer gaming store? Do you walk in and be like Jersey Joe going, hey, fuck stick? Or...
First of all, I can't be quiet. It's just not in me. Second of all, I definitely can't be at the gaming stores, because the guy who was actually going to do the show with me tonight, but he got stuck at work, my buddy Gabe, who we're hopefully going to get our channel going soon, he is the most passive person you'll ever meet in your life. He is... How do I describe it? Gabe is like I tell people all the time, me and Gabe are the real life guys from Clerks. We are...
Silent Bob?
No. We are the Clerks.
Randall and Dante.
Yes. How Dante said the one time, my mom told me that I once shit myself because I wouldn't, interrupt people to use the bathroom or whatever. So instead I just shit my pants. That's Gabe. He literally will just stand there. We'll go to places and we'll leave him, and I'll be like, dude, did you get what you wanted? And he's like, no, they didn't really notice me, so I didn't worry about it. And I'm like, well, why didn't you just get their attention? He's like, I think they just forgot about me. And I'm like, come on. And I go back in there and I'm like, oh, he wants some fucking cards. Come here. Like, because he's just so passive and so quiet that he'll let it go. So, of course, he's got me, the biggest mouthpiece walking the fucking earth, with him. So I make sure that he doesn't get forgotten. The other part of it is, what I've noticed at least, is a lot of these shops have their own clicks, their own normalcy of it all. And you'll walk in, and while I get it, right, local shop, they want to have their people, the guys you'll see up at the counter usually aren't buying a fucking thing. They're just up there bullshitting, talking to the owner, all that stuff. And if you just don't say anything, you'll wait 3 hours. Because they're up there talking about the latest stuff that came in, and did you try this, or did you get that, or what did you pull in this one? Literally, I got stuff to do. I don't got time to waste with you people, unfortunately. I wish I did, but I don't. And most of the reason I'm going to the card shops these days is because a new expansion has just come out for my game. I ordered a box. By box, that means a crate, really. It comes with like 6 or 7 of the boxes in it. I ordered one. My buddy usually orders one as well. We're going to pick them up. So all I'm going to do now at this point is, I'm already paid. You got to give me my stuff, right? I'm not waiting 3 hours for you to finish your conversation here. It's not happening, right? So they'll be up there, and Gabe will be like, oh, just give him a minute. Okay, yeah. Hey, fuckhead. My stuff is back there, and it's paid for already. So thanks. Come on now. Let's go. Come on. And bring over those sleeves with you, too. I need those too, Snapperhead. Hurry up. So Listen, there's definitely an etiquette, and I wasn't like that when I first went into the places. Now that I know some of these owners and I know who they are and how to act with them, and know that they can deal with my personality, it comes out more.
Oh God, sorry. I mean, really?
But what I will say is, do me a favor, anybody who's a gamer, if you find a gatekeeper, hit them upside the head with something hard, because they are the worst thing to the gaming world that you'll ever see. And it's funny, they're not just in the gaming world, they're in anything really. Okay. There's a gatekeeping idiot in the beard world, believe it or not. There's one in like the music world, oh, you're not a real punk rock fan. What the fuck
I know
up,
of
right?
several in the knife community, like some of the comments I've gotten in some of my reviews. You reviewed a Chinese knife. You're not a real reviewer. You didn't hold that karambit the right way. You need to shut down your channel.
You want to know the biggest secret in the world?
Gatekeepers.
Anybody who writes a review on a product is a reviewer. Mind blown.
Right?
So shut the fuck up. Like, I hate gatekeepers. It drives me nuts. I've seen them do it to kids, and it really aggravates me. You'll see kids come in, and by and large, when you go into places, they'll have the other card games, right? But the two biggest ones you'll see is always going to be Magic and Pokemon. They're always the biggest ones. They always occupy the biggest space. Magic has its booster packs, its commander decks, all that. And then Pokemon, because that place is not stupid, always has collector's things out, right? A collector's box, a limited edition this or that, Pokeballs that you can buy. And you'll get kids in there that love the show, don't know much about the card game, but they want to get something. And these guys behind the counter will just be vicious to them. Like, oh, I'm supposed to sit here and explain all this to you? Yeah, that's your job.
That's how the community grows. In Triple B, I'm okay with fanboys. Guys are into the lore, guys who like the storyline. God, how can I put it? Not the guys when I went to go see the third in the Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, and they're sitting next to me going, on page 26, paragraph 5, he didn't say that.
Right.
I'm talking about the guys who, and here's a great example. I'm releasing a video tomorrow on this channel about it. Superman is releasing a live action video about Warhammer 40K. You've got people out there
saying, 1 minute, dude.
Yeah, you're good. Go. You got people out there going, we need to defend our community against all these brand new people who are going to be coming in. Those are like the gatekeepers. Or like Joe was talking about, when you're brand new and you have no idea about this system you want to get into and you're asking questions, you'll have guys behind the counter sit and go, dude, maybe this isn't for you. Maybe you need to go away. They try to dissuade you from that. And the funny part, Triple B, Robin Williams used to play Warhammer Fantasy way back when. He had an orc force. You have Hollywood celebrities like Will Wheaton and his D&D club. These are the things, as us as nerds, as geeks, dweebs, whatever you want to call yourself, we need to embrace that. Because it's never going to be how we want it on that big screen. Ever. I enjoyed the Lord of the Rings movies. I thoroughly enjoyed them. I'm that big a nerd. I watched the extended version. I watched the cast commentary version. I watched the director and writer versions. I watched everything I could because I wanted that experience on how they looked at things. There was one guy, literally, I saw the tweet. If you saw my video that I stand with chick paints, she kind of tweeted it out. A dude who was willing to lose business to keep, as he called it, tourists away. Those are the kind of guys we need to eliminate from everything. Because, go ahead, Joe, go ahead.
The tourist statement is ridiculous. We were all tourists at one point, if that's the way you want to look at it. We were all tourists at one point. The first time you walked into a shop and said, hey, man, I saw somebody posting about this or playing such and such game, and I'm curious, do you have that game here? And can I look at some of the stuff you have for it? We were all tourists once, okay?
Yep.
The only thing about what I tell people all the time, where the gatekeeper is the most dangerous is simple. Like I said before, you got people like me, right, who's going to go in, you're going to be a dick to me. All right, well, go fuck yourself. Bye, and I'm gone. And then I'll go somewhere else, though. I'm not going to not get what I want. I just won't pay you for it. There's no way you're getting my money, okay? They're dangerous because there are people who go in and get that same response and then never go back to the game again now. And that does nothing but hurt the game in the long run. Like, you look at the resurgence that Magic has had recently, right?
Yeah.
It's become very big all of a sudden again. Very big, right? And so has Yu-Gi-Oh! All of a sudden becoming very popular again. Well, now here's the thing. Magic is a very standard way of playing card games. It's like the card bearer, if you will, the standard of how you do things. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is very different. They do things in a very different way in that world. It's completely opposite of the way you would think. So people are going into card shops now and they're like, hey, man, my friends have Yu-Gi-Oh! Decks. You know, they've been playing for a long time. I want to get into it. What do I do? And they're getting responses like, I don't know, go look on YouTube or some shit. What do you want from me? There's a shop, the same shop I talked about before. I called after he was already a dick to me once. I decided we're going to give him a chance again because unfortunately in this area, there aren't a lot of places that carry the game that we love. There's just not, right?
I've got one. So
I called him and I said, hey, man, just curious, do you guys get any Flesh and Blood in? Because in the past, they had not. We used to go there for Magic, though. And he said, yeah, we get it all the time now. And I said, oh, so like the last expansion. He goes, oh, yeah, we had a ton of it in here. And I said, oh, so like right now, you have some on your shelf. And he's like, yeah, usually we'll have it all the time. He goes, if we don't, it's because we sold out. But we'll have it again by Thursday when our deliveries come in. And I said, okay, fine. Next Tuesday rolls around. Me and my buddy get in the car, drive up there. Don't go to our normal spot because he said he has it. Our normal spot hasn't been able to get anything for the last couple of weeks. So we thought, well, let's go check it out and see if he's got anything. We get up there. He's finishing up a transaction online while we're waiting for him, right? Get done. Finally, it takes him a while because he was ringing up a
sale.
No. The reason it took so long. You remember the fucking thing with the guy with the ring and the Green fucking Lantern? Dwarf? No, the dwarf, Willow.
Oh,
remember Willow?
Yeah.
Somebody had bought a custom Willow chess set from them. Okay? With custom Willow chess pieces all over it. And they were ringing it all up one by one because everything had to be special made for the guy, right?
Well, I could see that. No offense, I could see that.
So it took a little while. Fine, right? No big deal. Get up to him, and first thing I noticed already as I'm looking, and I'm like, I don't see anything, right? I'm like, but all right, maybe they just have it somewhere and I don't see it. And I'm like, hey, you guys got any Flesh and Blood in? This is the same guy I spoke to on the phone a week ago. We don't get Flesh and Blood here.
Oh my God.
I went, wait, what? And he's like, we don't get Flesh and Blood here. I'm like, yeah, I called you. You said you always have it. He's like, no, I wouldn't say that. So now to test my theory, I had my brother call and ask him the same question. He told my brother he gets it in all the time too. He's telling people he gets it because he wants them to come into his shop.
Yeah, he's baiting and switching. That's exactly
hoping that you'll get something else while you're there.
Yeah.
Like you're there already, so you'll get something. And that's another good way to have me say, well, strike number 3. Number 3, in my opinion, even though you only fucked with me twice. That's number 3, though. You're done. Bye.
See, now, okay, there's the flip side for like as a miniature gamer, and we're going to start wrapping some stuff up because like you're tired and I got to go be a dad. Whenever I go in a gaming store, I usually try to buy something like a paintbrush or some paint or something.
Right, yeah.
To help support my local store. Now, granted, as a card gamer, this is one thing I envy you guys on. Once you have your basic deck, I know expansions and everything else, you want to tweak it. It's not like you need primer, you need more sealer. Oh my God, I got to go get brush soap, which I'm going to have a video with that one soon. You know, you get everything you need in that pack. Whereas someone like me, I'm geeking out about 10 paints.
I understand what you're saying in that aspect. But But all right, so for example here, how much were your paints? Just curious.
Think $32.
How long will they last?
Couple months if I do it right.
Okay. I'm here, I'll show you. I am in the process of building a new deck right now for a new character that they just created, actually. And a new class they created as well. His name is Arcani, and he is the assassin class. He's the first hero of the assassin class, of the first run of the assassin class they've ever done, right? So now I'm building a deck for him. Well, out of the series they made, I didn't get 2 of his specialty cards that I needed. Well, 2 of the colors, I should say. So I needed 3 yellow eradicates and 3 blue surgical extractions. To order those off TCG Player is going to cost me almost $100 for those cards. Okay? Why? Because this is the only things available for him. So everybody's skyrocketing the price if you want them right now. Now, the only way I was able to get this done was I actually have I know he's going to make fun of me here. I know a guy that can get me in contact with a guy who owns a shop in upstate New York, and he's selling me the cards for $52 altogether.
Didn't we have a conversation like this not that long ago when I went friends of your family?
Shut up. All right.
Didn't we have this?
But again, like I said, this is the first run for this character. So I'm spending this money to get this deck made right now because I want to use them. But do you believe that this deck is going to hold up against the test of time?
No.
There's no way. They're going to put out a new expansion with new cards, and I'm going to have to change it again and again and again. And then they're going to put out somebody new that's going to be a counter to this hero. And then I'm going to have to change my deck again.
Travis agrees with me. We've had this conversation before about a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy and fell off the back of the truck. You knew that was coming the moment you said it.
I know. That's why I laughed. I knew it was coming. I mean, listen, don't hate. Don't hate the player. Hate the game. I don't know what to tell you.
Can't hate the player. He's one of my fucking best friends.
Like, you know, listen, I'm not okay with people holding you hostage because you didn't pull a card. I'm just not. It bothers me. It does. There is a shield. Okay? A shield. That's all it is, mind you. For this character, who's one of my favorites, Oldham, like I showed you before. He's one of the few characters that can wield 2 weapons because his main weapon is a one-handed hammer. Because again, like I said, he's Oldham. He's Thor and Odin combined, in my opinion. So he can have a shield as well. The Rusty Buckler is one of the easiest ones to find. It's just basic. You attack, I use it, it blocks for 1, and I get rid of it, right?
Right.
Rampart of Ram's Head is a legendary piece of equipment that you can pay 1 and block 2 every turn. So it never breaks. It's there. You just have to pay 1 to use it, right? I still don't have that fucking shield for this deck because they want $280 for it.
Wow. No offense. Wow.
And I'm not doing it. Like I can't justify spending that on a card. Like the only reason I have the spring tunic, like I said, is because I had a card worth that much, and I just did a straight up swap with the store at the tournament. God, otherwise, I wouldn't have that.
How can I put this? I've bought dumber shit for more expensive things that I've only ever used once. But where I'm at right now, I'm looking at that $280 mark, and I'm going, I'll be homeless.
That's the thing. Throw me out. I've got real life responsibilities. I'm a single dad. So I understand that the odds are I'll never be up there with some of the others, at least not for any time soon, because a lot of these guys are younger guys, or even if they're middle-aged guys, they're single, no worries in life. They spend their money on whatever the hell they want to.
Shaky, we both know that's never going to happen. We both know that's never, ever going to happen. But okay, brother, we're at that hour mark, so we're going to hit that little wrap-up thing. Guys, I really, really want to thank all of you who tuned in tonight for the very first episode of Across the Tabletop. I really want to do these live streams every other week. I'm going to alternate with my other channel and this one to try to keep them going, try to keep things a little fresh and a little different. This is going to be about gaming. That's it. No drama, no bullshit. No, oh my God, I hate your channel, you hate mine. Let's get on a screen and yell at each other. This is about playing a game and the joys and the happiness that goes in there with it. I know you got something to add, Joe. Throw it out there.
Well, I mean, listen, if you ever hesitated or thought about it, if you ever looked at a game before when you were in a store and thought that looks kind of cool, listen, give it a shot. You know, most games out there, I don't know about the tabletop world, so don't let me quote on that one, but most of the card games out there have things like this, the classic battle pack from Flesh and Blood that you can go buy online that comes with 2 ready-made decks so you can play. Magic has the arena that's sold as a family game night thing. It comes in a box. It's got 5 different decks already set up and ready to go. It's got rules with it. It's got everything. Most games you want to play have something like that. And it's the perfect way to start your collection and also to get into the game and have some fun with it.
The only one I've seen in the miniature world is from Parabellum, who does Conquest. They have a starter set where you get 2 armies, 2 rule books, and a bunch of stuff to get going right away.
At the end of the day, people will tell you something like, you know, a lot of people love to say that it's, you know, I got better shit to spend my money on. That same person, though, will go out and buy a $150 bottle of scotch because it's been barrel aged or something like that.
Yes.
And to him, that's not a waste of money. And to me, that sounds nuts, right? At the end of the day, if you get joy out of something, that's all that fucking matters, man. There's enough things in your life that are going to stress you out and annoy you. So if there's something that you can go to that just brings you some happiness and lets you get out of your own brain for a little while and enjoy yourself, do it. And, you know, game, have fun. Don't be a fucking gatekeeper, though.
Exactly.
I don't like them.
Don't be that guy. And I'm going to have a video released really soon on that guy that you run into in every gaming store. Don't be that guy. Have fun. Be a good sport and enjoy yourself.
And don't be afraid to buy fancy cases because they're cool looking. I don't care what anybody says. Make your card stand out. It's okay. Yeah. It's all right to make your card stand out. You know, it's fine. No matter what anybody says.
I just got that. You know, wow, he flashed in and out. You know, this week, hopefully, we may have a commission, seeing how there's the star over there somewhere. You know, if
70-30.
Yeah, if we do, we do. If we don't, you know, we're going to be back. Real life happens. Real stuff happens. But like I said, thank you so much for tuning in to Across the Tabletop. We're going to keep it lighthearted. We're going to keep it rolling in the future. We're going to have a lot of fun. And we're going to see where it goes. Because this is a channel not about drama. It's about fun with itty-bitty little plastic things. And just to make you smile, Joe, for Conquest, when you build your stuff, you have to build a deck. So when you turn over the card, that's your unit that's moving. You have to think ahead and try to set things up. So it's a miniature game and a card game all at once.
And I'm not going to even, the commission side of me almost came out for a minute, but I'm not going to really expand on the fact that Chris just said this is a show called Across the Tabletop and where you play with little plastic things and it makes you happy. We're not going to go there.
See, and if this had been the commission when Joe was talking about attacking with his wand earlier, I'd have nailed him to the wall on that
right.
one.
We're not going to touch on those things, though. We'll save them for Thursday.
Exactly. We'll beat each other up on Joe's channel. But, guys, thank you. I'm not even going to roll the little outro. We're just going to hit that little end. So we'll see you on our very next one.
Stay safe, boys.
Come on. And you